Hello and welcome to this Inside Bounce, the £1 not at Accountex offer webinar, where we're going to be answering the questions that we normally get asked when we're on the stand at Accountex. We've got lots of things to talk about today. We're going to be looking at time and productivity. We're going to be looking at ways to increase turnover. And finally, we're going to be looking at ways that you can get your team to do the work that you need them to do. Let's get started. So hello and welcome to those of you that have joined since the last time I was here, saying hello to those that had got in early. We are all set and ready to go. Today we're going to be looking at Inside Bounce. We're going to be answering the questions we would normally be answering if we was on the stand at Accountex Wednesday and Thursday of this week. We should be there, but we won't be there this year. Mark's going along, but we won't be this year due to a couple of reasons. But as always, or as usual, we've got the £1 bounce offer, and Mark is going to pop the link in the chat box now. So as soon as you are ready, you can click that link and grab a quid. It's basically a test drive of bounce for 30 days. I think it might be a calendar month. So it'll take you through to whatever day it is today, the 11th of June. And during that time, you'll get access to everything that we share within Bounce. You'll be a normal Bounce member. You'll go through the induction process. You'll get access to all the videos and all the trainings and all the rest of it. And hopefully at the end of the first month, you will have got that much value that you won't be able to help staying in. And I'll share with you how that process works towards the end of today's conversation. But the bulk of today's conversation is going to be around all of the questions, or the questions that we get asked on Accountex. And over the years, I have had some silly questions. Off the top of my head, I can't think what the silliest one was. But anyway, we've had some silly questions, which I love, because those silly questions are very often the easiest to answer, and they are the ones that we don't think about within the mastermind, and therefore we don't answer those questions. So if you have any silly questions or stupid questions or anything like that that you would like to ask today and me to answer, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A box. There's a hand thing, or no, Q&A box is got on it there. Hit that, pop it in the Q&A box, and I will gladly answer it as we go through. I have already got 7 questions that people put in during the registration process that I'll be answering as we go through. But without further ado, let me share this screen like this and like this. And you will see, hopefully, you will see the slides. So let me talk to you about today's agenda. To start with, we're going to talk about what most practitioners tell us when they come to the stand. And broadly speaking, those things that they talk about, the problems that they're experiencing, we can categorize them into 3 areas. And I believe that there's one area of that you need to get sorted first, and then the next 2 basically fall out of the back of that. But we're going to talk about that in a moment. We're going to talk about where most practitioners want to be, where they want to go to, what they want to have, and ultimately the 6 obstacles that are getting in the way. There's 6 things, fundamentally 6 things that are stopping most practitioners getting what it is that they want. And then, of course, we're going to talk you through the £1 bounce offer, the £1 bounce not at Accountex offer. Should have got that to scan better when I typed that title. But yeah, so as I've just said, you can join today for a quid for a month and be involved. You get all of the stuff, the WhatsApp group and all the training and the get shit done sessions and all the rest of it. We'll get to that in a minute. So what do most practitioners have? Well, as I've said, people come to the stand, and generally speaking, the questions fall into one of 3 categories, sometimes more than 3, more than one to be fair. But those 3 categories are time, team, and turnover. So generally speaking, when they come with a question, the question will fit in one of those 3 categories. It'll either be around not having enough time, and therefore they will feel lost and overwhelmed. They'll feel as though they've got too much to do. They'll have a massive to-do list, and they'll be struggling. They'll feel under pressure, probably won't be sleeping at night. And they're starting in the morning and they're going home late and they're working Saturdays, and especially around Christmas and New Year when they're doing tax returns, they'll feel lost. They don't know where to go next, basically. They'll feel lost and overwhelmed. That's time. They will also have team challenges. So they will ultimately, they'll feel like they're doing all the work. You know, the team, they're coming to you, they're asking you questions constantly. They're not solving their own problems. They're not thinking about stuff. They're not coming to you with recommendations. They're not thinking about deadlines. You're giving them something to do by Friday, or you're delegating something to them. You're getting them to take ownership of it. And then they come to you on Friday dinner time, or worse still, you go to them at 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon and they've disappeared. And then you end up again doing all the work. So that's the team one. And then the last one is around turnover. And I think these are in a really good order from the point of view of where best to focus your time. If you're currently struggling, where best to focus your time in order to improve your practice. But the turnover one generally comes up, I need more leads, which is basically I need more profit, because the practitioner, the person that we're talking to, is not earning enough money for the stress, the effort, the workload that they're putting in. And as I say, you'll see it all the time. They'll come and they'll say, "Oh, I need more. I need more leads. What's the best lead generation tip that you've got at the moment? Where can I? Is BNI a good idea, or should I be posting more on social media?" And that's the sort of surface level line. The money that they earn isn't worth the stress that they're suffering. But the reality of it is, we need to dig a bit deeper, and we need to look at the pricing. We need to look at the internal marketing and things like that. So those are the three things: time, team, and turnover. Now, in its worst case scenario, those three things combine and you end up feeling like you're going to get found out. You feel like they're winging it a bit. You feel like you're any minute now, you're going to miss a deadline, you're going to get a penalty, or there's going to be a telephone call from the tax office and they're going to be asking a question that you don't know the answer to, or a client's going to be ringing up and they've ChatGPT'd something and they've got a better answer than what you've got. So people feel there's this self-doubt that they have. Lots of practitioners, a self-doubt that they have, and this feeling of insecurity, this lack of self-worth, and thinking that they're going to get found out. So they're, generally speaking, the categories of questions that we get asked. And as I say, these questions fit within that those three areas. So practitioners, they feel like they are missing out on life, that others are doing better than them. They see these things on LinkedIn. They see the posts on LinkedIn with people carrying babies and typing with the other hand, or they're working in South Africa or wherever it is, and they've got all this stuff. They've got cars that they're running around in and swings in the garden and all that sort of thing. They think that others are doing better than them, and that puts pressure on them. Now, invariably, what that they don't see is all the other stuff that person that they're looking at has got going on. But that challenges that self-worth, that feeling of overwhelm again, that if they can do it, why can't I do it? They feel that their team don't care. And they're challenged, generally speaking, they're challenged by that. So if the team, and again, we provoke around this, if the team really don't care, then they probably shouldn't be working for you. But normally, when you feel as though the team don't care, it's something that you are not delivering. You're not engaging the team, and there's a whole load of things that we could go through around that. But once you start to get them engaged, you start to get them motivated. If you believe that you can motivate somebody, they flip it around. But lots of practitioners feel like they don't care the team, they don't care. They just don't do the job properly. We've got lots of practitioners in the community that feel like they need to work hard in order to prove themselves. We are taught in Western society that to get anywhere in life, we have to work hard. I know that was a big thing for me in the early stages. I was always taught we need to work hard, we need to put in the effort. And in doing that, people will respect us more and like us more, and therefore we will prove ourselves. There's lots of people out there that are afraid of losing customers. It's like the fact that they've not got this turnover, they've got this profitability problem, they've got this turnover problem, and then that makes them afraid that if they lose one customer or lose a few customers, they won't have enough money to pay the mortgage. And therefore, they tend to over-service those customers. That's where the scope creep comes in, because you're afraid of losing the customer, and therefore you do more work And you said basically you self-sacrifice yourself in order to retain those customers. There's lots of them out there that are sued or feeling sued, or sorry, they're afraid of getting sued for making a mistake. I had a conversation with somebody last week where they've had notification from a client. As far as they're concerned, they've done everything that they need to do, but they've had a notification from a client that potentially has made a bad business decision, and therefore they're looking for recompense against the accountant for that. So there's a lot more of that about than what they used to be. And that's even when you're not making a mistake, but there's this fear, underlying fear, that we might get sued because we've made a mistake. And all of that comes up with they're not good enough or still have something missing. It's like, if only I could do this and do that and grab this, I could tack it in or put it into the practice, and then I will be good enough and all of my problems will go away. And we have this conversation umpteen times as people are at Accountex. They're walking around and they're collecting software, or they're making notes in speaker meetings, or the exhibition, or they're networking in the boat afterwards, and they're making notes and comparing themselves to other people, but grabbing these ideas. Because if we only had this idea, then we could tack it in or put it in, add it into the practice, and then all of the problems go away. And that's not what Bounce is about. Wholeheartedly, that's not what Bounce is about. There is no silver bullet that you're going to get today, or 7 steps to heaven, or whatever it is. It involves working systematically with lots of different things to put them in place in an order in order to get the practice ultimately that you want. And I'm going to share those, as I say, in a little while for you. So what do most practitioners want? Well, when you dig into it and you start to work out what their intentions are, where it is that they want to go, ultimately it's the freedom to choose. Now, they might choose to be at work. Lots of us still choose to go to work even when we don't need to, but it's the ability to choose whether they need to go to work or not, whether they need to do a job or not. I work with lots of practitioners on a one-to-one basis in one case where they still prepare accounts, but it's their choice to sit down and do the bank reconciliations and produce the accounts. They don't have to do it, but they've got that freedom to do it. They want to feel like there's a team that's developing. They want to feel like there's a team that's engaged and moving forward, taking ownership, taking responsibility for the roles and the jobs that you give them. They're keen to learn, keen to master what it is that they're doing. They're out there looking at AI and how they can improve the processes within the practice. And ultimately, you want to be making the money that you deserve to be making. You want to be fairly remunerated for the work that you're doing, for the qualifications and the experience that you have got. And the big holy grail is to feel like you're thriving at home and at work. Now, they often talk about when they come along that they want to play golf or go to the school plays when they want. That's that choice thing. They want to go at home on time on the 7th of the month, VAT deadline day, instead of being there at 11:59 pressing the button in order to file a client's VAT return that they haven't delivered the information until 3 o'clock that afternoon. Most practitioners just want to go home at 7 on the month. We're not asking a lot, are we? They want to have a less stressful January, obviously, and all the VAT tax returns have been filed. That's a fundamental part of what we deliver within Bounce. Their team is searching for new work and taking on ownership. They're making more money than they ever dreamed possible. And for lots of practitioners, again, the money is not the major. It's not the overriding thing. We want to serve our customers. We want to look after our customers. But ultimately, we need to be fairly compensated for that and not have our own money troubles and not be, as I said earlier, self-sacrificing and having scope creep in order to deliver what it is that we think through fear of risk of losing those clients. And ultimately, it's about being content. It's about being present. It's about enjoying life. It's about smelling the roses, getting a bit of fresh air, and the ability to choose to work when you want and where you want and choose the work that you are doing. So it's about peace, harmony, contentment, knowing that there are always times and situations where you need to do things that you don't necessarily want to do, but you have the choice and ability to do that if you really want to. So let's have a look at the things that are stopping you. The 6 obstacles that, generally speaking, we see. There are thousands of obstacles, obviously, but these are the 6 main ones that we come across. And ultimately, I'm going to share with you how we deal with those and help you get over those obstacles. The first one is getting distracted by new ideas. Now, Accountex, again, is another classic example. As I've already said, people go to Accountex and they see some software, they listen to a speaker, they talk to a colleague, and they give them a new idea. Those new ideas get written down on a piece of paper, and then hopefully some point they get added into a to-do list, and then the to-do list gets longer and longer and longer. Now, the reason why we do that is because we haven't got clarity over what it is that we want to achieve. So if you haven't got focus over where it is that you're going, what it is that you want, the money that you want to earn, the type of clients that you want, the team members that you want, and things like that, every idea is a good idea. And if it's a good idea, it gets added to your list, and then ultimately that list gets longer, you get lost and overwhelmed. So what you need to do, and this is, again, we focus on this, we've been doing it today. Today is Monday within the 𝗙𝗲𝗀𝗲 group. We've been doing it. We want you to get clarity over what it is that you want. And I say clarity, we can even dumb that down. Just get a general direction as to where you want to go. Now, once you've got that general direction, you've identified that, you can identify the problems, the obstacles that are stopping you getting from where you want to go. Yeah, now that takes a little bit of thinking. Yeah, but once you know where you're going to go and what it is that's stopping you from getting there, all of a sudden you can go to Accountex on Wednesday and Thursday, and you can look for solutions to the problems that you've identified to get you to where you want to go. It's not that difficult. Logically, it's not that difficult, but the thinking about the problems, the obstacles that you're experiencing in order to go out there and find the ideas just takes a bit of thinking time. And ultimately, ChatGPT is pretty good at thinking nowadays. It's good at idea generation and good at thinking. You can feed those problems into ChatGPT and it will give you, or feed your intentions and ask it about what problems might be stopping you from getting there, and it will give you the problems so you can go out and look for those things. So generally speaking, if you've got a shortage of time, it's because you're getting distracted by new ideas, or alternatively, you're self-sacrificing for the benefit of others. So this is like the people pleaser one. It's the one where you keep saying yes to things because you're afraid to or don't want to say no. Now, there are only two ways that things get on your to-do list, get in your workload. One, you put them there, which is this one, getting distracted by new ideas. Alternatively, the team or customers put them on your to-do list. And that's where this self-sacrificing comes in for the benefit of other people. So you basically say, yes, you work late, you work until 11:59 on the 7th of the month because a customer has been busy or whatever it is, and they haven't delivered the records to them. So you've effectively, in that case, you've sacrificed your evening to the benefit of that client. You can bet your bottom dollar that client ain't sat there until 11:59 on the 7th worrying about whether you filed his VAT return or their VAT return or not, and how you're working and all the rest of it. Another way that self-sacrificing very often comes up is when you sit there and you think, oh, this is what I need to charge this client, but they can't afford it. They're not making enough money, and therefore you reduce your price in order to help that client become more profitable. Well, their profitability is not your responsibility. Yeah. So there are numerous ways where self-sacrifice, but they're the two big ones. You end up working because the client hasn't delivered the information, or you reduce the fees that you're going to charge because you don't believe that the client can afford it. They are both around the time aspect. Moving on to the team, I'm just going to have a quick sip. There's two main obstacles for when you've got a rubbish team, or a team that's not good enough in your opinion. The first one is not having the systems or processes in place in order for the team to be able to take responsibility for what it is that you've delegated to them. So if you've given them clarity over where it is that they're going, and they have the roles and responsibilities, you need to give them some structure, albeit a boundary in some cases, but you need to give them some structure and a system in order to follow. You need to tell them when it starts, you need to tell them what to do, and you need to tell them what the output is with some clarity. Yeah, and if you haven't got that in place, then they have to make it up as they go along, and invariably they'll make it up in a way that is either not as good as what you would do or is completely wrong. So fundamentally, if your team isn't doing or isn't producing what you want them to produce, you don't think that they are taking ownership of something, they're not good enough, then you need to have a look at your systems and processes and make sure that they're refined, they've got some checklists in and they've got some clarity in, and the team are following them. And then a more fundamental one, ultimately, is around your belief system and believing that your team is rubbish and is not as good as you. Now, they might not be in some circumstances, but this easier to do it myself. It's easier to do it myself. Makes it easier for your team and therefore more likely that they won't do it next time. And secondly, it undermines them and undermines their confidence and therefore makes it less likely that they're going to do it. So you need to get rid of this belief that your team are not as good as you, yeah? And work on a way through stop doing lists and skills matrix, which again, we talk about a lot in Bounce, but within the stop doing this in the skills matrix in order to give your team, to train your team to become competent in the tasks that it is that you want. And this works as a question I'm going to get to towards the end around offshore, onshore, and local teams. It's exactly the same offshoring, so external to the practice, as what it is if you've got internal people. Now, when we look at turnover, these are the two big ones, again, that we find that people struggle with, and means that they're not making as much money as they can make. The first one is just take on any old customer, and they work out a customer wants rather than how they want. Now, this comes, generally speaking, from when we start. So we start an accountancy practice and we've got no clients. So the first one comes along, we go, yes, hallelujah, I'm earning some money. Yeah. So you just take on anybody, really, at any price. And then over time, as you get bigger, you don't really get out of that habit. There's always, I'll just take on this next one and then I won't do it anymore. Now, if you're taking on any old customer and you're working how the customer wants, it's just a recipe for chaos because they've got different systems. The records are arriving at distant times. Some of them 9 months after the year end. Some are in before the year's even done. Some of them have got stock. Some of them have got averaging profits for farmers. There's a whole host of different things. So one of the ways you can easily make more money is to, not short term, but again, it needs some work, is to get clarity over who it is that you want to work with and the processes and systems that you and your team and the customer are going to follow in order for you to maximize your effectiveness and therefore your profit. So we have, again, within Bounce, we have a whole section on customers, a whole pillar on customers, which I'll share with you in a minute. And one of the things we look at is your ideal client profile, the basis of the relationship, and then we also look at the client grading, the records grading, in order to make sure they're delivering the records in the way that you want to. And then the last obstacle is wasting time chasing new clients rather than picking the low-hanging fruit. And again, you'll see this all the time. There are umpteen marketeers out there that will flog you, whatever it is, in order for you to win more leads on LinkedIn or TikTok or direct mail or Facebook advertising or newsletters or BNI meetings, blah, 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 blah. There's 1,001 of them. Whereas your best lead generation whole, if you like, is the current customers. So hopefully your current customers know, like, and trust you, and therefore are more likely to buy more things from you than if you go out to a customer that's never heard of you before, got no trust, don't know whether they like you or not, etc., etc. So if we're looking to improve profits, the first thing we do is make sure we get clarity over the type of customers it is that you want to work with. And then secondly is make sure that we've maximized the return on the investment that you've made in the customers that you've already got. So they're the 6 obstacles, basically lumped within time, team, and turnover. So just to give you them again, getting distracted by new ideas. Solution: get clarity over where it is that you're going, identify the obstacles, the problems that are stopping you from getting there, then go and look for the ideas. Self-sacrificing to the benefit of others. You need clear boundaries. You need the ability to say no. You need the opportunity and the ability to delegate. Again, all within Bounce. Not having the systems and processes in place. Within Bounce, again, I'm going to share this with you in a minute. There's not Unlock Your Clock, runs like clockwork, a whole course on how to create systems. Believing the team and the rubbish are not as good as them. Again, it's a mindset issue. You need to get over that. You need to have a skills matrix in place in order to start training people to be as good, if not better, than you. As I've just said, getting clarity over the customers and the way that you want to work rather than the customers, and then wasting time chasing clients. So woo charts and stuff like that in order to make sure you're maximizing the money in the client base that you currently have. And as I said, we can help you do that. And we do that within Bounce through a structure called impact. And impact stands for intention. So working out where it is that you want to go. Once you've got clarity, if you can get clarity, if not, just the general direction would be good. Once you've got an idea of where it is that you want to go, you need to change your mindset. You need to change your thinking. So if you continue to think how you're thinking, then you'll end up going where it is that you're going. Yeah, what got you here won't get you there. Yeah, so you need a mindset shift. And again, there's lots of that within Bounce. Once you've got the mind in the right place, you then need to increase your productivity. And there's two ways of increasing productivity. You either do it through money or time. And we do lots of stuff as to how to give you more time or use money more effectively through delegation. We then look at the team and how you can work better together. And then, as I've just shared, we look at the customers, the type of customers you have and the way that you work with them, and then ultimately how you can increase turnover. And generally speaking, when we start working with people, that's the process, that's the order that we go through. It'd be very easy for us to get a turnover first, get you some quick wins. You go, hallelujah, Simon's brilliant, Mark's brilliant, etc., etc. But it's a short-term gain, and the longer-term pain works. But that's the structure. But we bounce around all over the place. Bounce around all over the place. We share lots of different things through the month, so you get a bit of everything. And we have an assessment tool, which I know lots of you have already filled in, but there's an opportunity to fill that in if you want, in order to give you clarity over to where you want to go. Martine has just put in the chat box. Martine, it's just put in the chat box. That's just to Mark and myself, Martine. Nobody else can see that. But Martine's put, been with Bounce before. I hope this is good, by the way. Martin has put, I've been with Bounce before and managed to achieve a lot. Since leaving, I can't seem to get it done. I know what I should do, but not enough time or focus to achieve it. So Martin has just come back into Bounce, which has given our access to 30 tools that we've got within those 6 areas in order to get the practice that you want. And ultimately, the first thing you'll do is to fill out your impact, your practice assessment, which will give you an idea as to where you need to focus your time. On this one, you'll see that the turnover at 40% is the low one. So we would help you get access to the stuff that you needed to in order to improve your turnover. Let me just check. I haven't got any questions. I've got the 6 that are still in the thing. 7, sorry, is still in the thing, which we will talk about. We'll talk about at the end. So yeah, you can have the assessment and fill that in. So let's talk about Bounce. Well, Bounce is normally £262 plus the VAT per month. There is no minimum period, no notice period, no minimum period of contract, and it comes with 100% money back guarantee. But as we've done for the last 2 years at Accountex, you can have the first month for a quid. So this is the not at Accountex offer. You just pay £1, you get everything in it. And if you don't want to continue at the end of the first month, then you just let us know and we cancel the credit card payment. And you don't pay us any more. Money. But as I said, there's no notice period, there's no contract period, and it comes with a 100% money guarantee. So let me just talk you through, before I get to the questions, let's just talk you through what it is that you get as a member. Well, the first thing, the ultimate goal is the freedom to choose. So we've got these 3 things in the background: the freedom to choose, a team that is developing, and you're making the money that you deserve. So that's the fundamental, that's the overriding sort of requirements, if you like, the overwhelming inspiration. And we do that through the Tax Return Commitment Club. So the Tax Return Commitment Club helps you get focus and clarity over the first 10 months, is it? 10, January, February, March. Yeah, 10 months, February, March. That's right. Yeah, April through to January, albeit we want those tax returns filed by the 30th of November. So the goal of the Tax Return Commitment Club is to have 90% of tax returns to the customer for signature by the 30th of November. And each month there's a little bit of a sheet that you fill out. We have tax return commitment club webinars. There's a separate WhatsApp group where people post their intentions, etc., etc. And we ask whether you feel further ahead month on month. So if sometimes people get behind and they're not hitting the numbers that we suggest, then as long as they're improving, so December and January is more comfortable than what it was the previous year, then we can take that as a win. And we have power hours, which have now been rebranded to get shit done sessions, where people come along. We give you some focused time. You come along with whatever it is that you want to come along with, but we suggest you come along to do something within the impact model. So you're improving the practice. You're working on the practice rather than in it. And we'll give you an hour, 90 minutes or so time of pure focus in order for you to get that stuff done. Sounds really simple, but it's really popular. And at the end of it, it's one of those magic moments where when I read Mark host them, when I read in the WhatsApp group what people have been doing, it's like, wow, they've made proper progress in that hour. They've made proper progress and got stuff done. And it's all about that from my perspective. It's all about making progress and moving things on. And we get the WhatsApp groups and they're split down. So it's not a load of confusion. We've got the main chat, and then we've got team one and a sales and processing one and the tax return commitment club. But that's your ability to ask your fellow accountants and me and Mark and Michelle, but your fellow accountants, if you've got any technical queries or anything where you need a bit of reassurance or you need some advice, that's where that goes. If I've got a system that we've got within Greenstones, you can take that, you can pinch it, plagiarize it, do whatever you want with it. I will share that and you can take it away and put it in your practice. And also, if you post in the WhatsApp group that you're looking for some, very often members will share their versions of the systems as well. You've then got Coach Accountable. So Coach Accountable is a piece of software. It's online where you record your actions. When you record an action, we get notified about it. And then we can inspire, challenge, and support you to complete that action. So Mark goes through all the actions, helps you get clarity over it, helps you get more smart around it, and then nags you and helps you complete it, set the intentions each week in order to do. We also, within Coach Accountable, have some worksheets, some momentum sheets, all the resources within there, the videos of Tax Return Commitment Club and the impact meetings, which I'm now about to talk about, are all going within Coach Accountable, so you can go in and look. And there's got to be 3 years worth of stuff. I think, was it May 22? Yeah, it'd be 4 years of training and opportunities, the old Socks Up Simon sessions, all sorts of stuff within there. It's probably worth the 262 quid on its own now. I've just said that out loud. But anyway, that's Coach Accountable. We then have impact meetings. And an impact meeting is where we deep dive into one of the pillars of impact. So I have just done last week, we did productivity, or 2 of the tools within productivity. Next week, next Friday, I think it is the customer section. So we're going to do a whole hour around the customer section, and we deep dive into what it is that we are working on. And the whole idea of that session is there's some content, but there are also spaces within that session for you to do some work to get started, because we very often put things off because we think they're a bigger thing than what they are. But we give you the opportunity, you get started, and then once you're started, then you'll have different questions that you can then ask us about, and we'll obviously support you to get them done. So that's the impact meetings. We then have 4 times a year, we have the Connect meetings, where you come along to Kettering if you want, but you can come along, included within it, come along to Kettering in order to meet your colleagues within Bounce and the members of Evolution as well. So you get a chance to share what's working well with each other. You get a chance to share best practice. So if there's any websites you've seen or books that you've read or software that you've implemented or anything at all that you think that you've done a really good job or something that's helped you within the practice, members get to share that. We do some content. I deliver some content around a specific area of impact, and you have the ability to decide what that is as part of the planning process. And every quarter we invite you to complete the impact assessment so we can see where the community's weak and then we can focus on that in order to move you forward. And we do an AI update on what's currently working within the industry and the way that I'm using it and the way that we're using it within Greenstones. That's normally about half an hour, and it provokes lots of conversations. You get a chance to interview a member who is doing brilliantly. Last time it was a lady called 𝗙𝗲𝗄𝗲𝗲, and she just blew everybody's mind about her ability or her decision to make a big decision in order to move her practice forward. I always find those interviews inspiring. It's just the way people are and the way people are working. But anyway, you get a chance to talk to them about what they're doing. You'll also do like a mini hot seat, so you'll have a chance for the members to fix a major problem that you have within your practice. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but we always pick two. There's normally about 6 people on a table, 5 or 6 people on a table, and we pick 2, and then you'll get a brainstorm into that, or the table picks 2 really, rather than us pick 2. And then ultimately you have a chance to do some work. So again, we'll share some content in the morning. You'll do some sharing with your peers, and then we deliver some content, and then you have the ability to get on and get started. Because as I've already said, if you get started, you're much more likely to complete it. And then ultimately, the final thing, which is something that we started doing around about February of this year, is we give you our whole video course library. So for 3 years, for 22, 23 and 24, was it 25? 23, 24, 25, we had the Connect events was basically content from me. So I would stand up at the front and I'd go off and I would do a training course. We recorded all of those courses, and those courses are now within the Accountants Mastermind Business School. And if you buy a course, they are 295 quid. So whoever can do the maths better than me, if you divide 4,425 by 295 quid, that will tell you how many courses are in the business school. There are 2 that are, in my opinion, fundamentally there to get you started. The first one is 5 Ps to perfect prices, which Mark delivered, and that's all around how you can increase your prices to put more money in your bank without any extra work. And then the second one is Your Clock Unlocked. And as I said right at the beginning, time, team, and turnover are the 3 categories. You've got to find some time. Normally, you've got to find some time through your productivity in order to be more effective, in order to do the things that you're doing. So there is Unlock Your Clock. I think that's about 2 hours long. And then we also have Maximize Your Minutes, which is a lot longer course, which was delivered live in Kettering. We got the videos of that, and there's all sorts of different things. There's clocks, and I've got that on my desk, a whole host of different things within that you can watch. There's the Advantage AI course from last September, I think that was, might have been June last year, from the summer of last year, which will get you set up on ChatGPT, get you the HMRC bot, your tone of voice document, and all those sorts of things that you should have up and running. That applies, all of those ideas apply, just different language, to Claude if you're using Claude, and Gemini, and all those different things. So there's a whole host of stuff within that. There's a course on GRF mastery, so how to increase your prices, increase the leads, the top things that we see members doing in order to increase leads, and not one of those is posted on TikTok or LinkedIn or any of those things. How you convert those leads, and then average order value and average order frequency. And there's lots of ideas for cross sells and upsells and whatnot within that one. And there's then a course on engaging your team and the different things that you can do to get more value out of your team, get a better return on your investment. We have got a course on Know Your Numbers, which is all around key performance indicators. That course begins with a conversation about how we communicate numbers and how we talk to clients, because very often we do a really poor job on communicating the numbers. But once we've communicated it, there's a whole, about 5 hours, I think it is, of conversation about content from me about what key performance indicators you should measure, how you should measure, and how you should implement them within your practice. Level Up is all about advisory services and how to deliver advisory service. We had a guest speaker come and deliver the first part of that in the morning. It was about 3 hours from Rob, 2.5 hours from Rob. Rob is one of the most successful practitioners that I know around delivering advisory services, to the point where he sold his practice and now just does advisory services. There's a whole course around minding your language and the way that you speak to yourself, your customers, and your team, and about how different language patterns can make a massive impact on the results that you get. There's Break Through Your Glass Ceiling, which is all about my personal development journey and the fundamental things, if you like, that have helped me go from where I was in 2006, where I was running around like a bloody idiot, self-sacrificing, team not producing what they should be, not earning the money, working 7 days a week. Sunday afternoons, I'd watch the football whilst I was working. So there's a whole journey that I went through around NLP and whatnot. It's a fantastic course. There's then Banish the Bottle Implementer. So Banish the Bottle, the book, and then there's a course on how to implement. So it's sort of the next level on, if you like, from the book. Power Your Profits, which is all about increasing your fees and how you can become more efficient and reducing your costs. As a whole sort of, well, again, 3 hours of how you can increase your profitability. Finding People in Your Haystack is a 15-step process in order to recruit somebody. There's a roadmap and everything. It's a fantastic course. If you're struggling to find somebody to come and work for you, there's thousands of ideas, hundreds of ideas within that course. And then we've got Runs Like Clockwork, which is, of course, all about how you systemize your practice, how you create the systems, implement the systems, and then review the systems. So ultimately, and I'm going to answer your questions now, just check up there, you get the Tax Return Commitment Club, the Power Hours, the WhatsApp groups, the systems and whatnot from Greenstones. You get Coach Accountable and all the stuff that's within Coach Accountable, and our ability to hold you accountable for the stuff that you're doing. You get the impact meetings, the connect meetings, and of course the whole video library. And within that, you get the 30 tools, which looks a bit like that. So that's everything that you're going to get. As I say, for the next month, it's just a quid. So if you click the link that Mark's put in the chat box, it's not for the next month. It's not a quid. It's a Friday, I think you've got to have it, and then after that, it goes back to the 262 to start you off. So let's have a look at the questions. I've got 7 questions, and I'll do them in order because some of them ultimately go over what we've already talked. So Ewan's asked, how do I get back on my feet? So whether Ewan's here, no, Ewan's not here. How do I get back on my feet? Well, ultimately, it depends on what the problem is. So I don't know what's knocked you off your feet in the first place, but generally speaking, it will fall into one of the 3: time, team, or turnover. If we can establish which one of those it is, then we can work on the individual aspects of those 3, whichever one it is, in order to improve your practice. Now, invariably, where I would go with that is I would get you to do the impact assessment. You go through the 30 questions. It takes 3 minutes and 34 seconds on average to do it. And then once you've done it, we'll have some clarity over where it is that you are weak within the practice, and we can ultimately then focus on that. David's asked, how can I break free of the cycle of cash flow squeezes and get clients who want to work with us and can afford our services? So this is very much in the turnover aspect of time, team, and turnover. And ultimately, it's within turnover and customers within the impact model. So the first thing that I would do, David, in order to break free of the cycle of cash flow squeeze, is to get clients on monthly billing and direct debits. Yeah, it just smooths out the whole cash flow ups and downs and chasing people and all the rest of it. If you do nothing else, it's to get people on direct debits and monthly billing. And within GRF Mastery, the course on GRF Mastery, the first hour is me talking about how to go from annual billing and payment in arrears to moving across to monthly billing and direct debit. If you don't feel able, if you don't feel brave enough to go over to monthly billing direct debits, and clients love it, David, because they like the cash flow They want their cash flow smoothing just the same as what you do. But if you don't feel able to do that, the easiest thing to do is to tell them that you want payment before you submit any returns or submit any accounts. So you get payment in advance, and then it stops you, it stops you having to chase the debt, which is invariably the variable. So if you're working consistently and you're delivering sales invoices consistently, then as long as you're getting paid before the records the things are filed, then that should be way more consistent than filing. I mean, I don't hope you're not in this situation, but I know an accountant was telling me just before Christmas that they have clients that don't pay them for last year's tax return until they need this year's doing. So they'll pay for the 24 tax return in January 26. Yeah, albeit the tax return won't filed until January 25. But they wait 12 months before they can get the money out of it. Just mind-boggling. So, the easiest way, the simple way is get them to pay direct debit, monthly billing, and if you can't do that, payment in advance. A longer-term solution is to identify your ideal client. Again, in Bets, we'll show you how to do that. And then once you've got that ideal client, so this is more around how you can work with clients that can afford your services, how you can find those clients, work out what it is, the ideal client that you're looking for, and then basically go where they go. There's a great book. I say a great book. It's a bit of a funny book, really. But the book was called How to Marry a Millionaire. So the title of the book was How to Marry a Millionaire. And then when you opened the book, there was one page in it. And on that page, it said, Go where the millionaires go. And that's the same solution to this. How do I find my ideal client? You go where the ideal clients go. Now, you don't need to, as I've already hinted earlier today, very often you don't need those ideal clients. The first place to go is your current customers. Can you sell more things or get your current customers to buy more things from you? Yeah, they already, hopefully, know, like, and trust you. They know that you do a good job, and therefore they're much more likely to say yes. After you've saturated that market, you can then start asking old clients if they want to come back. It's called an invitation to return. You'll be amazed how many old clients have jumped ship and are too embarrassed to ask to come back. I've got umpteen testimonials or comments from practitioners that have rang up a client that left 2 or 3 years ago, and the client's going, oh, yeah, well, I'd love to come back. There's a little bit of a method that we've got in order for you to do that. You can look at old leads, so stuff that you think is dead and you haven't followed up and haven't given them ultimatums. And then the last one is referrals. So if you actually need new customers, you need to maximize the number of referrals that you're getting using referral systems. And again, I had a conversation with somebody within the community on Saturday afternoon at the weekend, and they were looking for ideal clients or looking to go out for ideal clients. And we've had a conversation about referrals, and they said, we're getting all of our leads from referrals. How many referral systems have you got in place? Zilch. They're just basically waiting for clients to make the referrals for them. So there's lots of things that we could do around that. Jerry's asked, how do you find outsourced staff to start to grow your practice, and how do you safely let them access to your client records? This is a bit more of a specific one, but there's loads of places to find outsourced staff. I mean, I get an email a day or a LinkedIn request a day from outsourcers. So there's 1,001 different things. That recruitment process shouldn't be any different to your UK recruitment process. So if you're looking for people in the UK, they should both match each other. But the first thing I always say to people before you recruit somebody is make sure that the clients that you've currently got are profitable, because you might find if you knock off some of the rubbish clients at the bottom, basically they tend to be the ones that are taking up all of your time and not paying you any money. So you can probably get rid of them and then cost you less than it would to take on a new employee. But to start with, have a look at your client base and create some capacity by removing the rubbish, the BMWs at the bottom. The next way is to pay your team overtime. So if you've already got a team, you can pay them a bit extra money for a short period of time to take up some capacity. And then once they've taken up the capacity, you can then recruit somebody, stop the overtime, and you've got enough work for that full-time person. And then the last one about the safely let them access to your client records. Again, it doesn't matter to me wherever they are in the world. we treat them as a team member. So they'd have a remote desktop access on our server, so the information never leaves Peterborough office. Basically, it's just a remote desktop in. There are umpteen ways, depending on how you want to be, how safe you want to feel, how secure you want to be. There's umpteen ways, from Dropbox and letting them have all the access to all the files at the bottom end, all the way up to having a dedicated offshore where they've got security with key cards and all the rest of it, and they're not allowed to take the phones in and all that sort of stuff. So it depends on to what degree you are comfortable with. John's asked, how do you manage emails, as I find the volume of emails is increasing, and whilst I try to allocate set time, it is difficult. You see, time, team, and turnover. This fits in the time box. The first thing I always say with emails is the number of emails that you receive is directly proportional to the number that you send. So if you send emails, you'll get emails back. So if you don't want emails back, pick up the phone and have a conversation. You'll invariably, do it like the old days, yeah, where we used to have a conversation with people. Invariably, if you have a conversation and it's time constraint and it's not a conversation about weddings and holidays and all that sort of stuff, whether the dog's been for a walk, if you keep it as succinct as possible, the telephone call will always beat the length of time that it takes the emails to go backwards and forwards. But if you don't send the emails, you'll get less back. I know it's not always possible, and I've got a couple of other solutions for you. There are two pieces of software that lots of practitioners use within the practice, within the community. One is called SaneBox, and the other one is called Fixer AI. Both of those, they do similar things, albeit I think Fixer's got the steal, if you like, on SaneBox at the moment. They give you the ability to categorize the emails when they come in, so you can get rid of all the spam and all the newsletters and all the rest of it, so you only have access to what it is that you need to look for. And then Fixer, and I think SaneBox now does this as well on the next level up, they will prepare replies based on how you've replied to similar emails in the past. When you hit reply, it will draft a reply for you. So that's two pieces of software that you could use. Get your team to do them so you don't have to do them. So just because you've been emailed, that doesn't mean that you have to reply to that email. You can forward it on to customer care or admin or a technical person or the bookkeeping department or whatever, and they can do the reply. If you're not in a position to trust the team to reply on your behalf at the moment, get them to draft a reply and then send it back to you so you can have a look at it, and then it goes back to them and then they send it to the client. Lots of people get hung up about, the client's emailed me, they'll expect a reply from me. So the way that you get over that is that the team member at the start of the email is they say, John, at the beginning of the email, they say, John has forwarded me your email and he's asked me to reply on his behalf. Yeah. So John has forwarded the email to me and he's asked me to reply on John's behalf. Now, what that does is it takes your credibility across. So when the client receives it, go, oh, he knows John. John's asked. John is capable. We like John. John has passed his credibility onto the team member, and therefore I'm going to trust the team member. If the team member just goes straight to the client, the first thing the client will do is look at it and go, who the hell's this? Don't know who this is. And then they'll ring you up and say, who's this bloke? Who's this person that's sent it out? So pass it to the team and then get the team to introduce themselves, take over your credibility. And then another great one is batch sending. So what people tend to do is they reply to emails. So they get an email, they work down the emails, they reply to it and send it. Then they get to the next one, reply to it and send it. Next one, reply to it and send it. And then by the time they've got to the top of the list, the people that they replied to first, they've started replying back. So then you look at it and you reply to it, and then you reply, and then it's just this never-ending stream of emails that come in. So one way around that is batch sending. So if you're using Outlook, there's a delay send thing at the top. So most people, if they've got an email or reply during the course of the day, they're not that bothered. They don't care whether they get it at 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Yeah. So what you do is you delay the sending of all your emails to, let's say, 4:30 today. And then at 4:30, all of those emails go out. So you've perhaps spent all morning typing the emails. You've got a 2-hour gap, 2.5-hour gap in the afternoon before the emails go out, where you can do some proper work. All the emails go out at 4:30. The keen ones might reply, so you might have another set of emails to do between 4:30 and 5:30 or whatever it is. And then the rest of them, they'll either reply the following day or they'll reply overnight. And then you do the same again. So you start in the morning, if that's what you're going to do first, delay send. You then create a gap when they go out. So batch send or delay send is a fantastic way to create some space where you've dealt with the work, you've taken it out of your mind, so you've got rid of it, but you're not expecting or not suffering by people replying because of your efficiency. What we on? I've got 6 minutes left. I've got three more questions. So Mike's asked, how do you price a new client, existing client, based on the services they use? Well, there's a couple of things. Firstly, within Bounce, there's 5 Ps for perfect pricing, which Mark has gone through. Fantastic tool in order to help you position, plan your price increases and all the rest of it. So how do you price a new client? Well, you need to understand them. You need to understand what it is that you're delivering, the position that you're in, but you need to understand what their problems are. And the way that you do that is you ask lots of questions. Yeah. So if you ask questions of them, then they'll share with you their problems, and then you explain to them how you can solve their problems and the value of solving those problems. Excuse me. So that's where you're at, and then you can go into market rate or above market rate and all the other stuff. I wholeheartedly recommend pricing software. It's something that revolutionized Greenstones when we brought it in back in 2004. And my current favorite is a piece of software called Socket. Don't go down the rabbit hole, Mike, of making sure that Socket's perfect or the pricing software is perfect before you go to the client. Get it up and running, sit down in front of the client, and then play with it. Last 2 questions. Kieran has said, KPIs for growing firm of 6 to 8 people and organizational chart structure. So the first thing with any KPIs is start with the famous 5. So the famous 5 comes from Banish the Bottleneck, and it is purpose number, customer happiness, team happiness, EWOs issued, so that's extra work orders issued, and then a productivity measure for the team. So most people are measuring team cost to turnover. So they're your 5 numbers that are foundational in my opinion. Once you've got those, then you can work out where the direction of the practice is going, and then come up with key performance indicators in order to drive that direction. So if you want to be a proactive practice, that's where you're going. Then you have a key performance indicator that measures proactivity. Once you've got the practice numbers, you then drive those down into the team. So the team have numbers that directly influence the practice numbers. And then the question about organizational chart and structure, I don't think you do need an organizational chart until you get to 11 and 12. And then that's, I think, for me, is the number that you can manage. Even then, you don't really need an organizational chart. You just need somebody to take over the management of the other people. And the structure thing, again, is a bit of a rant of mine. There's a lot of waffle out there about pods. My understanding is a pod is effectively the old partnership structure. So I am much more inclined to build a team, accounts, bookkeeping, payroll, audit, customer care team, lead advisor team. And then you have one person, a manager, if you like, within that team, and then they report and you go through. So you have teams of people, and a client takes, or you allocate out of those teams the best person for that client. So you might have a direct client who needs direct, clear communication, or you might have a gentler client that would like a bit more hand holding, and they have different personality types and different people. And then the last question is from Neil. I'll just make sure I've got no other questions up there. Yeah, the last question from Neil. Let me just get rid of that. The link to join Bounce is in the chat box. If you click that, all you do is put your name and credit card in and all the rest of it, and then you'll get all the welcome emails and all the induction. That's in the chat box, so just feel free to click that when you're ready. And then the last question, I've got 2 more questions. So Neil asked, what's the new innovation would you be looking at this year that you either didn't or wasn't there last year? So I've got 2. The first one is Claude Co-work, which is really pressing my buttons at the moment. I'm getting it to do lots of things, lots of lower level stuff that would normally take labor hours. So definitely, if you're not looking at Claude Co-work, have a look at that. And then the second one is an app called 𝗙𝗲𝗲𝗲, which I'm using to create some apps. And in particular, I am using it to create lead magnets, so real life personalized lead magnets. So rather than it being a PDF or an ebook or some other thing that gets downloaded, they can interact with a piece of software that we've created, and in doing that they get more value. They give us an email address and then they become within our list. And then the last one was from Martine. Why can I not do this on my own? Well, you can. The simple answer is we can all do whatever it is that we put our mind to. And there's a whole thing about this within the mindset section of Bounce. If we really want to put our mind to something and focus on it, we get clarity over where it is that we're going, the problems that we've got in order to get there. We can then go out and we can find ideas, or we can model people in order to get the things that we want, in order to remove the obstacles, in order to get where it is that we want to go. Now, we can all do that. I am a true believer that we can all do that if we put our mind to it. However, the beauty of Bounce is it gives us a ladder. Yeah, it gives us a help. Yeah, it's far easier to do things together as a community than what it is if we do it on our own. If we've got a question, we can pop it in the WhatsApp group, or we can pop it in the community, and they'll come back with an answer. Yeah, if it's something that I can help with, I will help you get there. If you want to model me in the way that we work and the things that we do, then invariably you'll get there far better. So you can do it on your own if you believe that you can do it, but invariably the best way of doing it is to do it together as a community, because you'll get there a whole lot faster. That's a wonderful question, Martin, and I'm pleased that I saved that one until the end, because I hadn't quite got the connection between doing it on your own and doing it in the community. So that's all I've got to share. Thank you for coming along today and for listening to the obstacles and the problems that people come to the stand with at Accountex. And there's lots of giving you lots of solutions to those obstacles and the way that we work. And thank you to the people that asked the questions and part of the registration forms. You will get the recording, Paul. You're more than happy to let the team members watch it. Anybody can watch it, whoever it is that you like. So if it provokes you and people feel inspired, challenged and supported to be the best that they want to be, then I'd be delighted. So thank you for that question as well, Paul. And that's all for me for now. So thank you. Any questions at all, pop them in the Facebook group or in the WhatsApp group, and we will gladly answer them. Bye-bye, 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 bye-bye. Thank you for watching this recording of Inside Bounce, where we discussed all the questions that we get asked when we exhibit at Accountex. As always, if you've got value from this video, please hit the like button. If you've got any questions or comments, please post them below the video and I'll gladly answer them. And remember to subscribe to the channel so you get notified the next time we upload any content. On the screen now, you should see the next 2 videos that we recommend you watch to continue to be inspired, challenged and supported to have the accountancy practice you want.